Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your midday market report for Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. One day away from Tiger teeing it off, I think right around 10:35 tomorrow. He will tee off at the Masters. One day away from MLB, two games already postponed. Opening day there, so two washouts. One Yankees hosting the Red Sox, and one was Seattle hosting Minnesota. I think it was. Those two games have been postponed. Still will be baseball. Myself will be taking my girls to the Frozen Four at the Garden as the four finalists in college hockey will compete for the national championship. I am so psyched, so stoked. Never been to a Frozen Final Four, and was excited to see it in Boston. And unfortunately, none of the locals made it. UMass, UConn, Northeastern, BU, none of them made it. So I think it's like a Minnesota versus Minnesota State, and I think two Michigan teams too. So I am super stoked. Can't wait. We'll be reporting high above courtside, or should we say the ice. But we are in the building. We'll be sitting with some rowdy fans from someone. I know that. But today, our weekly trip across the border. Super stoked, super excited to have Andrew McInnis on. This guy's so hot. They need two Zambonis in between periods to keep the ice from melting. We were on one of those runs, and we have cooled off as we get the Panther puck line yesterday. I couldn't release the 170, trailing 5-1. Come all the way back to take the 6-5 lead, only to win 7-6, and then the Wild last night. Here's where our eyes were. They opened up minus 120 against a team, the Predators, that went 9-1 against them in the last 10. Well, make it 10-1 now. The Wild watched a little too much WrestleMania, and they just decided to come and fight all night instead of playing hockey, and then they get spanked. But the Rangers, minus 135, come running home. But enough from me. Let's cross that border and let's bring them in. The one and only Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Hello, hello. Great to be here with you, Jeff, as usual. As a Canadian, I have to say that the teams you just described that are probably going to be in the Frozen Four with you that you'll be watching, that's kind of like what you think about if you're a Canadian and you think of hockey teams like Michigan, Minnesota. That's kind of what you think about as the hockey states, and I guess they always seem to be around when it comes down to this time of year. But I was with you. My free play of the day was actually on Minnesota. I liked that one, and I also liked the over in the Avalanche game. But that the Predators game, I think you and I were kind of contrarians on that one because the spot definitely kind of screamed Predators. Entering it, the Wild were 9-1 their last 10. They had some big games and stuff, and it was a big game for the Preds. But I just didn't think that they would be able to match up enough. I thought that there were three lines on Minnesota that were just skating faster and are just more talented. And the Predators shocked me, had a really, really great game. So disappointing result there. But my best bet of the day was the Rangers. And as much as they made it a little sweaty, they came through for us. So it was good. And, that Jack Hughes injury update, I was waiting on it all day and it barely even came through. But when I heard he wasn't at practice, I kind of thought that was a good sign he wasn't playing. And with certain teams, I always say the injury reports, I don't buy into them too much. But with a team like the Devils, you miss a guy like that, it hurts the team big time.
No doubt. The Predators, Wild, first period, Wild 0 for 3 on the power play. Predators 3 for 3 on the power play. Thanks for playing. They were in the box more than they were on the ice there. Circling back to the Frozen Four, Michigan versus Denver, and then Minnesota State versus Minnesota.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a blast, man. That's awesome. I've heard great things. I've heard it's a lot of fun. And I have to say, the high school hockey, even in Minnesota, the way they pack arenas, it's just incredible. All across us, several different states in America. It has to get more credit. People always talk about junior hockey here in Canada. Well, the college hockey level, and how much how high the attendance is for that in America is awesome. So college and high school even. So I'd love to get to that. If I go to Minnesota, I think it probably won't be a summertime trip. It'll be a winter trip to watch some good old hockey.
It's like in high school football, it's like the state of Texas,
Yeah.
their arenas are bigger than most college
Yeah.
arenas to play
It's
football.
crazy. It looks, and they pack the arenas too. And it's kind of sad. You look at places like Saskatchewan and Alberta and Canada, and the high school hockey is just not getting enough attention because around here, the way it works is like, chances are if like high school is like way lower level, because if you're in high school, you should be playing junior, you know? So the high school hockey is like, it usually it goes high school, or excuse me, junior, then high school, and then major midget. So high school isn't really the top level. The junior hockey you get drafted when you're 16 years old. And if you're good enough, you play then. So I think that's kind of why the high school hockey doesn't get as big of crowds here, because the Canadian junior hockey it's so popular, especially in small towns and teams like where I'm from in Halifax. We don't have any professional hockey teams. So, when McKinnon and Drouin and those guys were playing for the Mooseheads, we were getting like 10,000 people on a Thursday night, Jeff, on Halifax. It was unbelievable.
And what I like for me is we're about an hour from, say, BU, and my daughter, even in high school, we would go up to BU, saw McAvoy, saw some of the big names play at BU, to just get a feel for what this was all about. And you're talking back then, BU was always top 4, top 5 in the country, and they have now been caught up by the Northeasterns, the BCs, the UMasses of the world. Even the Providence has a national championship since BU. Funny story is I brought my girls up to a Saturday matinee in front of the Garden. The Capitals were coming into town, and I know a lot of guys out front to get tickets, and they wanted like $200 a ticket. Even I'm like, dude, come on, guys, I can go to Best Buy and go get a 70-inch TV for that. I said, and he goes, well, I can't drop it any lower, Jeff. I'll give you $175 a ticket. I was like, you know what, girls, come on. So took them down to Faneuil Hall. We went to the North End for a late lunch, and then I went over to BU, and we were center ice, second row, for a total of like $150, and it was
awesome,
unbelievable hockey.
Awesome.
It's just great hockey.
Yeah, I mean, if you college hockey is huge in my town, again, because we don't have any like pro teams and stuff like that as well. And I think that it's different the way it works in Canada versus America, because a lot of times, like, you play junior up until you're like 20. It's so 16 to 20, and then by then, if you're good enough, you're either playing like in the AHL, East Coast League, or NHL, or you're playing over in Europe. So the thing is about the university hockey here, it's called U Sports in Canada, and for us, it's like people don't respect it enough because they don't realize that every single player playing on those university teams are former superstars from junior hockey. And what's interesting, Jeff, is that over the past couple months, and even I guess I should say last year too, with the pandemic going on, these seasons were so broken up, right? There was, stoppages, there was postponements. And so several players mid-season, when there was a 2 or 3 week hiatus, signed overseas or signed in the East Coast League. So it was very cool to see, guys that we've watched, actually a few buddies of mine that I went to high school with, like they signed in the East Coast or they signed in Denmark because they're like, I'm a hockey player. People don't realize with athletes, they can't go 3 weeks without playing. I mean, they can't go a whole month without getting on the ice and playing or practicing and stuff like that. So university is really big around here too. But ever since I met you, we've talked about hopefully someday, catching a BU game and stuff like that. I just always think about, if I'm going to come visit you or visit my buddy in Boston, I'm going to do it in the summer. But it would be fun to go see a BU game, because as much as the Garden's fun and going to Bruins games, I like new experiences, and I have never been to a BU game before.
Well, maybe we can We'll start with Fenway for the this summer, and then we'll plan a early fall, early winter, late fall, early winter. I mean, I think I had the girls November 1st this year. UConn was at BU, and UConn beat them like 7-2. So they start early enough there where we can say, "All right, Andrew, I know you went to Vegas late August, but you got to get to Boston now in November for BU hockey."
Are you coming back? Can we drag you there? You were there for a long time, so I don't know if
Oh,
you
yeah,
don't tell the wife.
the game plan was to sneak out for a week, the first week in July for the World Series of Poker main event. We have some clients that are out there. We go do some marketing, do some cheering on, and then to get there the last week of August, first week of September
Okay.
for to sign up for any of the circuit contests, and then the first week of football. So that's the plan. But the cat out of the bag is the wife turns 50 this year, and her family's planning this cruise that starts in Boston and ends up in Puerto Rico. And that's the last week of October into November. So
Okay.
I'm not a cruise guy. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I just can't see myself locked in a boat for a week. And
I've never been on one myself either. I've been to resorts. I like resorts, but I've never been on a cruise before.
yeah, so I use the internet factor, and they got every damn answer covered. So
That's awesome.
if
You
I'm
got to
stuck,
respect it.
if I'm stuck on that, I might have to cancel one of the trips. So I'll keep you updated definitely on that Vegas in August and September, for sure. There, tell everyone. Listen, I mean, don't be shy. Be loud and proud here about the damn heater that you are on, kid.
Yeah, 13 straight NHL winners, and a lot of it comes down to the low volume. I'm seeing the board pretty well, but I'm just still deciding to release one pick a day officially, and it's actually going for 17 straight all sports, dating back to not last weekend, but the weekend after that. Prior to that, excuse me, a couple UFC winners and one basketball winner. So it's been really exciting, and I think in large part it's been a new thing I've been doing, Jeff, which I think a lot of people already did it, but I've started kind of working backwards when I do my handicapping with hockey. And what I mean by that is I'm scratching off the games I don't like before I'm circling the games I like, which has been really helpful for me, especially in the late March, early month of April, when there's going to be the spots like last night when analytically the Bruins played better than the Red Wings. Red Wings get it done. I mean, there's going to be spots where Buffalo plays upset. Montreal beats Tampa Bay in a shootout. There's going to be those spots that I just don't want to be a part of and I want to stay away from. And, trying to figure out these upset spots. And, yesterday for me was a perfect example. And you cashed with it as well with the Rangers, where I tell people, and some people don't really factor this stuff in as much to their handicap, but I love the Rangers much more because they were off two losses. You put the Rangers in that game and in that position after two dominant victories where they won 5-3 in both those, or 5-2. I don't love the Rangers as much, and people can try and convince me otherwise, but I truly believe that there's spots to back teams off losses, there's spots to jump on runs with teams, but really that's what I've been doing right now, is figuring out that certain spot, that road trip, that homestand, that bounce back, and it's been working for me right now. So, and there's been no bias as far as picking on one team as far as fading or betting on. It's been Western Conference, Eastern Conference, totals, sides, whatever it might be. So it's been really good. It's been fun. But I'll tell you, and I say this in hopefully a very humble way. Sometimes I do wish I was releasing more because last night I liked that over in the Colorado Pittsburgh game, but I just have learned that, especially when I'm on these runs, I don't want to, excuse me, I don't want to overfeed myself, I guess. I don't want to put too many eggs in the basket. I'm focusing on that one play. I do my research, I do my reports, and then all the shows I do kind of helps me promote that at the same time. So it's been good, but you run a huge heater too. So I want to congratulate you because I don't want all the attention on me, but I got to congratulate you on your heater. I saw it. I mean, whether it was you in Vegas or when you got back, you were picking spots, puck lines, and what I love about you, Jeff, is you're a value guy. You don't, always chase these plus 200s, but I don't see you promoting these minus 180s that you're giving out either. So I love that.
Yeah, we caught fire at the right time once we got to Vegas. We went 13-4 our first 17 out there. Then had a few hiccups in the baskets, and then I went back and started tracking the hockey, and we were on one of those 10-1 heaters like yourself, less the loss, and then we got it up there. We've struggled out of the gate this week again. I thought last night when Florida opened up at 170, they were really looking for some Leafs money, and they're up 5-1. And then I put on my timeline, well, I guess
I saw your tweet.
It was the wrong time to fade Toronto back to back. Unfortunately for me, I'm not going to play the 170 or the 165. We had the puck line, and there was hope at 6-5, and then Toronto found a way to tie it and then lose in OT. My question to you is, when I was in Vegas, I was standing in front of the big board at Circa, and the number that just stood out to me when we were looking at hockey futures was the Panthers. That number just stuck out like a red thumb. Now, listen, I know there's a bunch of teams in the East that can come out, the defending champs, Tampa, Carolina, Toronto's heating up at the right time. The Bruins, haven't even talked about the Penguins. But deep down, if you gun to your head and you had one swing out of the East, who is it today?
Like value wise, or just to win? Just to win.
I know value. Listen, value, you could shop the Bruins. You could talk me into the Leafs. You could talk me into Carolina. The question is, you have to come on the show today and say who will be representing the East in the Stanley Cup.
I truthfully, and it's not just because I have a future on it, I'm sticking to my guns with Carolina. Okay. I am. It's just, people were asking me, and I get a lot of flack, as you know, because I'm a Leafs troll. Like I was on the radio with Morency last night, and he's like, "It is what it is. You're a troll," and I was like, I get it. I get it from them. I give it back to them. The difference is that in that game, the Leafs are known for blowing leads. It was a rough spot for them situationally. I like your play on the Panthers, but the Panthers have built that reputation of being able to come back. The problem is, I always try and tell people, more than any other sport, NFL especially, I think that the difference in NHL regular season to playoffs and sports like NFL to playoffs, anything can happen in the NFL playoffs, but realistically in NHL playoffs, you're going to see the good defensive teams come out to play. You're going to see the teams that have a lot of depth come out to play. And if the Panthers go down to anybody 5-1 in a game in the playoffs, it's not going to be a walk in the park to come back. They've made it look easy, against the Devils. I tweeted out yesterday, I was like, man, these guys make it look so easy. Like every time they're down like 4 goals. But that's what worries me about the Panthers, honestly. I think that I want to bet on the team that when I'm sitting on my couch after I'm watching a triple overtime and it's 2-1, I can count on them to not make a bad defensive mistake. And with Florida, even though they have so much talent, I don't know if I can count on them still with that. So, if you ask me, if they change the rules of hockey and the goal of the game was first to 5 goals, I would say Florida's going to win the cup tomorrow. But unfortunately, that's not the way it goes. And Pittsburgh, they're at 8-1. That's actually still what I betted at several weeks ago or months ago. I still believe in them as well, just because of their defensive ability.
Out west, I said a few weeks ago, I thought the Avs were leaking a little oil. The Flames were hot. A few weeks prior to that, Edmonton looked like the sexy team. It looks like defensively they had got things together. The Knights struggling almost like the Lakers. Any changes? Anyone maybe you see catching fire? I know we've talked at length about the Blues. Is there anyone at this point catching your eye out west?
Honestly, I have to say that I was looking at it a lot yesterday. It seems like a trendy pick right now, but from the odds perspective, the Wild are being disrespected, I think. Honestly, there's so much speed with them. They're physical. They've got a big defensive core. They're calling him the Wildflower now. They got Marc-Andre Fleury in Minnesota. They seem like a very well-built team. And last year in the playoffs, they put up a pretty good fight. some of their superstars are a little bit younger, like Kaprizov, but they also have some older players that can, do damage. And, I think that we're getting pretty good odds on them right now. I can't remember what they are right now for the odds to win the West, but you mentioned the Lakers comparison there with Vegas. I wanted to pick your brain. You've been doing this for a long time, and I just find it so interesting. The odds for the Vegas Golden Knights to win the West, win the Stanley Cup, and they might not even make the playoffs. I mean, obviously it's because of their injuries and stuff, but what do you make of that based on, kind of where they sit right now in the standings and then what the odds are telling us about them? Is it kind of like them protecting themselves for if they do get in?
I bring this up comparing it to the Lakers or even like Brooklyn, where Brooklyn is another team. Brooklyn actually the best comparison, where Brooklyn might not even get into the playoffs, yet they're like the third favorite. It's all
Yeah.
that preseason money. Everyone jumping in early on the Lakers when they got Westbrook, and obviously the Nets with which was their Kyrie and KD being healthy, and now they add Simmons, who's I don't think he's going to play at all this year. But the fact of the matter is, they got so much money in pre-flop and during the early part of the season. Now it's almost like one of these. I don't want to say they can't lose, but I'm going to say they can't lose. I mean, when I look at the Nets, and it's almost like one of these, you want to be holding that golden ticket. You want to be that one that says, I told you so. And I always bring up the fact this, Andrew, is that if KD had a size 18 and a half sneaker instead of a size 19, the Nets would have been in the finals and playing for the championship instead of the Bucks.
Yes, I remember watching that game.
So it's one of these. If the Nets get in, they probably get on a big run. KD gets hot, Kyrie gets hot. He can play the home games, and the same thing. When you're looking at the Knights here, I mean, realistically, like the Lakers, who are officially outed, and they're out. I mean, LeBron waved the white flag on April Fools. He basically said on a tweet, "Guys, I'm out. See you in the fall," and he hasn't played since.
Yeah.
And so it's like the heart of a champion. Okay. Do the Knights want to rally the troops and tell everyone, I told you so? We got the team. We're just banged up, and get in there like your Habs last year.
Yeah.
They got in there and look what they did. Or do you just want to pack it in, start playing golf, and get ready for the fall?
The problem is if they're the last seed, they play Colorado, right? And that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, if you look at it from an odds perspective, that if you take them to win the West before that series, because that's what I would do. I wouldn't even bet if that ends up happening. I would, if you're planning on taking Vegas in the series, I would take them to win the West. They beat Colorado somehow and Colorado chokes. All of a sudden that pathway opens up big time in the Western Conference, and you're sitting on a pretty nice, like 9-1, whatever it is, ticket for them to win that conference. That's the way I'd look at it. And I agree. The difference is to me is that I truthfully believe that the Brooklyn Nets, if they get in, it's like KD said, KD can be kind of an asshole in the media, but let's be honest here. He's right. What he said yesterday, I don't care who we play, man. He was making me laugh. He's like, do you think I really care who we play? Let's play ball. Like, he is so talented that the difference is, like, I think I really do believe him when he says that. For Vegas, they've got talent, but I don't know if those guys could beat Colorado. They put themselves in a really bad position, Jeff, I think.
And think about it this way. They beat Colorado last year after being down 2-0. And I think the Avs will have a chip on their shoulder and a little something to say. So it's almost like, again, when you're looking outside, looking in, do the Knights want to limp into the playoffs just to face an Avs team that's going to be so peed off at what happened last year?
Yeah. A lot of people took the Vegas Golden Knights under on their win totals too. I'm not much of a win totals guy, and I think I want to get into it next year with the NHL, but they're gonna be a dangerous team. But again, there's gonna be some movements in the offseason to try and create cap space and stuff. And I've made all these jokes that I think the Vegas GM thought he was playing a video game and there was no cap space because he's kind of made an all-star team that right now he couldn't even suit them up if he wanted to, you know? And the funny thing is, though, we could have the argument about the LTIR all day long, but the GMs just met about it and they barely even came to any solutions. So it sounds like it's just like, hey, if all your players are injured, just wait until the playoffs. And if you can get in, you can get in. The problem is it really didn't work out for them because they might not even get in. And if they do, it's against Colorado. So that's tough.
And
Who sorry, go ahead.
no, and the Lightning worked it to perfection last year. So
Oh, don't remind me. Don't remind me. I was gonna ask you who are some teams that you think are like playing spoiler right now? I have the Ottawa Senators as a team pegged to play spoiler. I think my Habs a little bit, but I look in the Western Conference. I mean, they're not really spoiler per se because they're like semi in the playoff hunt, but I think Winnipeg a little bit. But who do you think? I mean, there's gonna be upsets and it's gonna happen.
I'm actually looking at tonight's game and kind of tongue in cheek here. I mean, Detroit beat the Bruins first of all last night, and it was a tough spot for the Bruins. Okay, so you look at that in the East. Yeah, I look at the Ducks, for instance. Now I know Calgary opened at 255. Everyone expects them to win. You're going to play the puck line. You're going to play regulation. But Anaheim came out guns a blazing. And again, if Gibson's on, I look at a team like them. Your Vancouver Canucks tonight opened up at plus 130, now 154. They could be a spoiler tonight.
My dog of the day, plus 145. I like that.
So there's a couple spots right there that I think again the Devils had a little streak where they were putting up touchdowns 3-4 games in a row, and so I think you get that little flash from a handful of these teams that maybe they're just giving us a little taste of where maybe they'll be next year.
Yes, exactly, and it's finding out which teams really care and talk about a team like Tampa Bay Lightning. I brought this up on your show before, but I just find it so interesting. Even like the Washington Capitals, when they finally won their Stanley Cup, it was the season they didn't win the President's Trophy, and some of these top tier teams are going to maybe slow down a little bit, heading into the playoffs that need to stay healthy, like a Tampa Bay. Do you think Tampa Bay cares about that loss against the Leafs? I'm sure they do, but they care a lot more when it comes to round one if they end up meeting, and that's kind of the thing, when you've got the Maple Leafs celebrating Austin Matthews' goal, like, it was the last game you'll ever play. Not really a good look when, there's still a lot to be played left in the season. Show me a couple hat tricks in the first round, Austin, then I'll be impressed with you. I still am impressed with you, but that's really the problem. And when I look at the season right now, it's kind of the reason why I think you've talked about it before. I can't remember what you called it. It was like sifting. I can't remember what you called it. Like the strainer. The strainer. I think the word.
Strainer.
Yeah, spaghetti strainer. I like that. Yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. I've been using the spaghetti strainer and finding the games I don't like first, and then kind of okay, this is the game that's left. Kind of. I'm not saying the games haven't like stuck off the page to me, but I'll go through and look at the scheduling spots and all that, and just be like, nope, just scratching them off.
And I think a lot of people don't realize in our lanes is 1-0 is better than 2-1 when you include the juice.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about this on Saturdays, the big crazy college football or college basketball Saturdays. There's 150 games, and we release an afternoon card and go 3-0. And then we got one game at 6:00, and let's just say for poops and giggles, we got that. So we're 4-0, and people are texting me, DMing me, calling me, Jeff, what's going on at 7, 8, 9? And don't forget, you got the Pac-12 at 11, and we got the Hawaii game at midnight. I'm like, do you know how hard it is to win 4 units in a day?
Yeah.
You just went 4-0. It's like going 11-4.
Yeah.
When you add the juice. And
you know how many texts I got about the Oilers game last night? Same thing. Hey, what do you like in the Oilers Sharks? We already won one game tonight. We're good,
And that's it. And when you're clicking on all cylinders, you're seeing the board like you are. Listen, grab that one unit and have some fun. I mean, you get on these heaters and that's the greatest part about our jobs is you're just building up stacks and you're building up stacks. And the people that don't get it will never get it.
Yeah. Well, like it takes a lot of people a long time, and I'm happy at a young age that, and it's not like I learned it right away. I'm not gonna pretend that I learned it right away, but it's. I was saying last night on the radio, you and I are gonna be doing this show together. I hope you'll have me every Wednesday for a long time, and so it's not like we're gonna just stop gambling 2 months later, So you might as well not try and become a millionaire tonight or make 10 units tonight because you're going to bet tomorrow, and chances are you're going to bet the next day. And if you take that day off, you're definitely going to bet the day after that. We were talking about on the radio last night about future betting, and Morency was loading up on his baseball futures, and he said that he didn't used to be a future guy, but we were talking about we all bet every day, we watch the games every day. And it's kind of like how I talk about with the NHL when I'm going to come on your show and talk about these series when we break down the matchups. One thing for me, Jeff, is that I bet more than I usually do on series, and I bet a lot less in between the series, like in the games. Like I'll bet a lot more units than I would usually do personally on a team to win a series than I'll actually bet individual game. I might only bet 2 or 3 games inside that series, but have a top play on who's going to win because I don't want to. I like the future aspect. I like cheering on and a win total or a future bet, and not always just every single day. Right? It's a long-term game, and people want to just like that makes me laugh because like I don't do as many college sports as you, and I could just see it because people messaging you like, hey, Hawaii's playing at 1 a.m. Like, what do you think about that one?
Myself and my partner Scott, we did the Westgate Super Contest baseball MLB under overs, and you pick the under and overs before. I think the final day is the 7th, so I think they're giving everyone up till Friday, and it was $200, and I think they paid the top 5 or something like that. But that gives us action throughout the season, and B as you're getting into August and September, you can see where you sit. And if we're doing well enough in the tournament, you can then start actually hedging, like you were talking about, in these spots where, hey guys, we're right on the under. We can actually fade these guys this weekend in a series play and actually make some more money on the side here as well.
Exactly. And then if we're following it every day, it's something we'll be able to do, and you'll be able to hedge it out. And that's why some people say like, why would you want your money tied up for that long? Because to me, it's a bet. Just like I'm really excited to cash the Ducks to miss the playoffs. Do I care? I have to wait another month to cash that? No, it's gonna pay for the Bruins and Habs tickets I just bought for my father. This week, this month. So it's all about it's money. No matter when I get the money, it's still money. So
they all
speaking
cash.
of that game, Jeff, hopefully it means something because I was worried that game wouldn't mean anything on April 24th, but I think the Bruins will be fighting for a spot. So hopefully my Habs can play spoiler at the Bell Center.
It'll be one hell of a game for sure. And the Bruins, made a great trade right before the deadline. He looks fabulous. It's kind of funny. The locals now, who were back in Swayman, are now starting to get a little love for Ullmark. And our buddy there, Mr. Felger, even yesterday said, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I think I'd go Ullmark over Swayman.
Well, he's played well, and he's been solid and consistent. Swayman is either rock solid or he's a little shaky.
I agree, and I can't wait here. The whole show, the scroller, as the crawler's been working at McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk, at Sports Mayflower. Jump on over to YouTube at Mayflower Sports. Hit the subscribe button, smash the like button. This kid is on fire. If you're not following him, you're missing out on a boatload here. And as we close here, Andrew's going to tell you where you can find potentially his 17th pick in a row, maybe what's going on this weekend, this month, and take it away.
I appreciate you having me as always, Jeff. Best of luck to you tonight and your clients. And for me, it's just the one play, like I mentioned, just got one play up at wagertalk.com, wt.buzz /AM is where you can grab that, wt.buzz/AM. Again, going for 14 straight, the NHL, going for 17 straight all sport winners. And, if you don't want to buy the play, if you're someone that just consumes our content, just do me a favor, hit the like button on this video and hit the like button on Puck Time. We really put a lot of effort into our show. The graphics guys do a great job, and I was really happy that a lot of people that were at the meet and greet got to meet some of our behind the scenes guys as well, because they do a hell of a job too. So if you don't buy plays, hey, that's fine by me. Just watch the show, leave a like or a comment, and we appreciate that as well.
And that's the biggest part of our business, especially in these lanes where there's a million people out there all trying to, I don't know, create content. And I'm not here to disrespect anyone out there trying, but there's a lot of people out there with spewing stuff that they don't know anything about. Or I say this tongue in cheek, but there's a lot of people out there, big platforms, big check marks, and don't know the difference between a football and a softball. But that's for another day. Anyway,
you won't see me tweeting about master picks, and if you do, I'm not telling people to tail me. I'm just saying that's what I bet. You know what I mean? I just hashtag stay in your lane. You know what I mean?
yes. And we can't talk about that enough. And in closing, where you were just talking about a few minutes ago, and where you were when you started to where you are today, hats off. I always talk about this, it's progress, not perfection. And if you're always keeping the feet moving, no one's going to pass you. Meaning the content that you guys put out, the videos, as you say, here it's 2-3 a.m. and you're on with Morenzi, you don't sleep either. And and it's comical. Here it is, 1 o'clock, my time, and you're already probably on your second, third show, and you're getting ready for the night. And it's just a blessing. So young, so talented, so enthusiastic, just to be able to have you on, every Wednesday. We're talking hockey now. We'll be talking playoffs. Before you know it, we'll be talking CFL and World Juniors.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been actually looking at a lot of articles already about the World Juniors in August, and the way I look at it is we made some money already on it. Let's do it again. So I can't wait for that. And the CFL is super exciting. I don't know if you would have seen on your timeline, but the CFL is actually, they have a team hopefully at some point coming to the Maritimes, but they're having a game, like an actual official game called CFL Atlantic or something like that. So it's going to be Saskatchewan versus Toronto. And so I'll be going to that game. And I can't wait to talk about CFL with you too. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I can't wait. And good luck tonight. Let's get
Thank
number
you.
17. For all the listeners, again, go follow him. Go jump on his timeline. Find out where you can get it. Don't miss out. He is probably the hottest guy on Twitter right now, and I couldn't be prouder of him. So keep it up. Keep up doing that great work over there in the as we cross the border on a weekly basis.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, at Mayflower Sports, Sports Mayflower, and on the YouTube at Mayflower Sports. We wish everyone a blessed and happy day. Enjoy the games, cash some tickets, but always do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Andrew care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. Have a great day. Cash some tickets, and we will see you soon.